All right, that was a great finale. What is up, Flick fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking Season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale, and here's how this review is going to work. I'm going to start out with some non-spoilers, give you guys my score real quick, and then I'm going to dive into the story of this season, and then talk specifically about the finale at the end, because I know it's so fresh and some people have yet to see it. That's how we're doing it today. I need your comments down below. Did you enjoy this season of The Handmaid's Tale? Were you disappointed? And let's talk about it. So in this season of The Handmaid's Tale, June embarks on a bold mission with unexpected consequences, and the Waterfords reckon with Serena Joy's choice to send Nicole away. Now let's talk about Season 3 as a whole and the ups and downs of what this story is bringing us to this point. And I want to start off by saying this. I love this show. I think Season 1 is fantastic. Really enjoyed Season 2 as well. And as a whole, I think Season 3, it works. There were more narrative issues in this season for me as opposed to the other two seasons, and the pacing, while it works for the most part, and at the end of the day you can look back and say, I understand why they moved that slow. I understand why they gave us a specific episode that maybe I wasn't the biggest fan of. A few that I didn't love, but one in particular that I want to talk about here in just a bit. I get the reasoning behind these decisions because that's what this show has been consistently bringing us since Season 1. It's a very slow-moving show, but it's slow-moving with a purpose. It's slow-moving because it feels like it has to tell this story at this pace. And I look back and I say, you know what? I understand why they did that, and I do enjoy the decision as a whole, even though I look at Season 3, and for me, personally, now this may not be everyone else's opinion, it does not measure up to Seasons 1 and 2. Still really enjoyed it, and I'm going to talk about what I loved here in just a bit. Now, the episode in particular that I'm talking about that I wasn't the biggest fan of, and you guys probably know which one, it's Episode 9. It's the episode called Heroic, where June is kind of confined to the hospital for the entire episode. And this is kind of a prime example for me of why this season wasn't as strong as other seasons, because this episode takes everything that I didn't love about the other episodes. I genuinely enjoyed the other episodes, but I'm just talking about negatives before we dive into what I absolutely loved about this season. But it takes all of those things and it kind of confines it to one episode, and it's a showcase for me to say, here's what I don't love about The Handmaid's Tale, all in one episode. It's too slow. I get the reasoning behind why they did it. It's to build June's character more so than they already have, but they've already built her up in a light and in a way to where we understand her actions. We get why she's doing what she's doing. Now, don't get me wrong. There is something that happens in this episode that is monumental for the story, but you could have taken that and placed it in a different episode and honestly made this season shorter. I don't think it needed to be shorter, but I do think this one episode, it's significantly less strong than the others of the season, and it may be my least favorite of the entire series. And that really is one of the main reasons why this season didn't measure up, because every single episode wasn't as strong as they have been in prior seasons. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying the acting wasn't fantastic in that episode, and I'm not saying the directing wasn't beautiful. I mean, gorgeous. The cinematography, the shots, all of these things. I've talked about it in my other Handmaid's Tale centric videos, but it's just a beautiful show to look at. It's one of the most well-shot shows. You know what? It's probably the most well-shot show I have seen on Hulu, and one of the best looking shows I've seen on any streaming service, and there's a reason why it wins so many awards. So when I critique the storytelling, I'm not necessarily critiquing the talent and the acting and even the director. It's more on the story choice, the narrative as a whole, and the writing for those specific episodes. And really, there's like a chunk of this season that just doesn't work as well as I think it intends to. 7, 8, 9, those episodes. It's really the middle of this season. It all just slows down so much, and it gets to the point to where you're just sitting back and waiting on something to happen, but I feel like it could have happened so much sooner. This is the first time I've looked at a season of The Handmaid's Tale and I said, well, maybe it shouldn't have been 13 episodes. Maybe we could have shortened it by 1 or 2. I don't know. That's a choice that not everyone is going to agree with because this show is so beloved. And the reason why I stick around and why I love this show so much is because of the character development. And other than, I'd say, those 3 or 4 episodes and a few storytelling decisions in the first few episodes and 1 or 2 in the last 2, those are all minor-ish nitpicks for me because as a whole, I think this season really worked. And let's talk about what I loved. I love how this story is progressing in the direction that I personally wanted it to progress in. We are going from this not small scale setting, but we are going from this setting that we know in the first 2 seasons. We are expanding. We got to spend way more time in Canada this season with our heroes, our characters that are trying to find every way in the world to pluck out the ones that we know and love out of Gilead, and I loved spending time with Luke, spending time with Moira. We understand their struggle a bit more, and we do get a bit of insight into their past, even more so than we have been in the other seasons, and this season continued the trend of giving us character development now, but adding more to the backstory and adding more to the reason why we care about them in the first place, and the communication that we finally got. Finally, we've been waiting for it for a long time, between June and Luke was great. Such an incredible payoff. And this season is full of character payoffs. We get to see the end of certain stories, and I'm not going to say who yet. And then we get to see the start of development between characters. And we get to learn more about Bradley Whitford's character and what a wonderful addition he is to this story. I was scared at first because I'm like, oh, it's Bradley Whitford. He's a big-time actor. And then all of a sudden you realize he's not just a one-off character in this story. He's going to stick around for the entirety of season 3, and you don't know if he's good, you don't know if he's bad. You learn more about his character as you go along. At the end of the day, I look at this season, and other than our mainstays, our players that we know and love, he is the one that sticks out to me as a great character with a great character arc, even though I still, at this point, I don't know a lot about him, or at least as much as I want to know. It's leaving you wanting more about so many different stories and story elements of this season. So I want to start talking more spoilers, and I want to get into the final episode. So if you haven't watched the season finale of The Handmaid's Tale Season 3, then this is your time to tune out. I'm going to go ahead and give my score of this season. I'm still going pretty daggone high. I'm going 78% as a whole, because the end of the season, what we're about to talk about, really, it didn't save the season because it was still good, but it brought it back around, and that final episode was just magnificent. I had chills for like the final 30 minutes of the episode. It was just wonderful. It was emotional. It was heartfelt. It was everything that I wanted, even though it leaves you wanting a bit more. Okay, let's talk about the finale and just the final few episodes in general of The Handmaid's Tale Season 3. So you have June basically doing what I wanted her to do, like I said, start this revolution, get the other handmaids on board, and she is going to take all of these children, put them on a plane, and allow them to escape from this wretched place. And yeah, what a risky plan. June has just turned into a character that will do whatever it takes to save the people that she loves and cares about, but at this point, she's kind of turned her mindset towards the children. I want to get the children out of here, or as many as I possibly can, and I love that. And then in the prior episode, what happened to the Waterfords, so this season, it was full of interesting and wonderful character arcs, from Serena's character arc, kind of turning around, coming to the good side, and then you see what happens to her at the end. She gets arrested along with Commander Waterford, who got arrested a little bit before that, but they kind of got what's coming to them, even though at the end of the day, I can look at Serena and say, I was starting to come around on her. It was around episode 4 when I sat back and I said, do I like her now? I mean, I like her a lot more than I did like her, and she kind of was being brainwashed by this entire concept, by anything. Started, by the way, and we haven't even talked about this, by Commander Lawrence, and that's the internal struggle that he's dealing with in this season, and to see that progress was great. But Commander Waterford, and really that entire situation, it was solved and settled in an unexpected way. I honestly thought one of those characters, I thought they were going to meet their maker. I thought they were going to die. And the way that they went about solving that problem, well, as far as we know, as far as Season 3 goes, the problem is solved. Clearly, more things are going to happen, and they set up a lot of things for Season 4, very tiny nuggets in there that give you an idea of where this next season is going to go, but also the storyline that we're focused on, June's storyline, and everyone helping her. She is, at this point, turning into the character that I wanted her to turn into. She is the leader. And everyone knows it, everyone believes it, all of the handmaids, even Commander Lawrence, he's sitting back after what happened to his wife, and what a sad and heartbreaking moment, because as bad as the guy has been at certain points, and as good as he has been at other points, you really have to feel for how much he loved his wife, and that was showcased very well, and it all led up to that character meeting her end. And it really was a sad moment because June cared about her as well. But then the moments towards the end, here's what's going through my head as all of this is happening. What is going to happen to June now? Because somehow, through the last 3 seasons, she has avoided the wall. She has avoided getting killed for her actions, even though other characters have done things, not as bad, and they get killed, and I get it. The writing is really good. It's really crisp, and it's hard to nitpick because they have come up with solutions and reasons why she can't get killed for the things that she has done. But now I'm like, she shot an officer, and that moment was fantastic because the sound design and just the blood splattering on her face, it was awesome. But now I look at her situation, and I'm just curious. We expect her to be under another commander next season because obviously she's not going to go back to Commander Lawrence. But is she even going to get caught? Are they going to avoid? I'm not for sure where the story is going to go because June has managed to stay alive so far, and through the gunshot wound, obviously, she has managed to survive. This is something that you're going to have to come up with something. I think they can do it, absolutely. Something creative, something awesome. And the writing of the show has been the best part about it, so I can't critique it too hard. But there's a lot you have to do to allow me to accept that for one more season. Now we have, in my opinion, what is going to be the rebellion, the revolution, this war that we have been building up to for so long. We've had our build-up, and now Season 4, you have to get newcomers on board. You have to have everything going on in Canada play out in the way that hopefully is the most exciting thing we have seen from this show. And then you have to have all the handmaids coming together, and the Marthas, of course, coming together to lead something that I think is going to be spectacular. Listen, I'm not saying this season was perfect. I had more issues this season than I've really had in any other season. But these final few episodes, what they did, and the decisions made for me not salvage, because it didn't need salvaging, but saved this from being good to being a really good season of television, and one that keeps what we love from the other seasons. Now, I've seen the complaints online, don't worry. It's way too slow. The decisions made with the characters, they're ridiculous, and I'm just not on board with this show anymore. Okay, if you feel that way, I understand. I'm still on board because of the final few episodes. The finale, I'm telling you guys, the finale was a wonderful episode. If you don't feel emotional when June is leading all of these children to this airplane, the tension built and established in that moment is fantastic, but it's really the heartfelt nature of the storytelling. And when they all come off the plane and people are crying and tears are being shed and the little girl says, "Is this the place where I can wear what I want?" How does that not break your heart? How does that not make you sit back and go, you know what, this is what it's all about. It's all about saving lives, and it's really leading this revolution, or beginning this revolution that I think June is going to lead, because, of course, she is still in the place where nobody wants to be. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Those are my thoughts on Season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale, and I appreciate you guys watching this video. My next review will be Sacred Games Season 2, which is the brand new Netflix show coming soon. I've had a lot of requests to talk about Season 1, and that video is coming as well, except that video will be dropping on my Patreon page to the public so everybody can see it, and then Season 2 will be coming out on my YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching this video. More reviews to come this weekend, a lot of movies dropping in theaters, and of course Mindhunter Season 2 as well. You're the absolute best, and I'll see you very soon.